Hey everyone, let's jump right in. Every single day we're all exposed to just an absolute avalanche of content, right? But every so often you hit that one specific piece of media that's engineered so perfectly it acts like a digital stop sign. Well, today on this explainer, we are doing a micro deconstruction of a single, highly potent digital artifact. We're literally putting one of these viral scroll stoppers under a microscope to figure out exactly how it hacks our attention.
So, let me ask you something. Have you ever fallen into the trap of pausing your feed for one of those highly optimized, single-sentence life hack carousels? Think of your daily social media feed like a bustling, incredibly noisy highway. You're just cruising along at 70 miles an hour, totally ignoring the blur of ads and videos flying past you. But then, you spot a billboard, and it is so striking, so directly targeted at your deepest psychological needs that you instinctively slam on the brakes. Well, today, we're breaking down the anatomy of one of those exact billboards.
Let's examine this digital artifact in its natural habitat. Notice that stark, minimalist, textured background? It kind of feels like a page ripped straight out of a secret, ancient manuscript, doesn't it? Then, right up at the very top, you've got that authoritative gold and black logo. It just sits up there like a wax seal on a royal decree, or maybe a polished police badge. It silently communicates, hey, listen up, this is official. Below that, this really bold, heavy black text just dominates the center. And finally, tucked way down in the bottom right corner, almost like it's whispering to you, is a tiny instruction. Honestly, it is a masterclass in visual hierarchy. So let's break down exactly what this text is actually doing to your brain.
What's actually fascinating here is the first half of the phrase, no one can ever control you. I really want you to pay close attention to the absolute, sweeping nature of that promise. Notice it doesn't say you might feel a little more confident or people are going to respect you more. No, it says no one can ever control you. This targets one of the most fundamental human desires we possess, our absolute craving for total autonomy and independence. It's basically the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card for literally all of life's social anxieties.
To really grasp just how absolute this wording is, let's use an analogy. Imagine you're walking down the street during a drizzle and this salesman steps right into your path. He doesn't offer you, a regular umbrella that might keep your head dry while your shoes get completely soaked. Instead, he looks you dead in the eye and pitches you a magical umbrella. He guarantees, with complete 100% certainty, that if you stand under this umbrella, you will never, ever feel a single drop of rain, wind, or storm for the rest of your natural life. It's a claim so massive, so impossibly perfect, that your brain instantly wants it to be true. And that is the exact psychological hook being deployed right here.
Okay, so we have the massive promise. But here comes the catch. If you learn these 34 psychology tricks, right there, that introduces the required condition. It's the key to the lock. If the promise of never being controlled is this beautiful walled-off garden, well, the second phrase is the heavy toll bridge you have to cross to get inside. The creator is essentially telling you that absolute freedom is entirely possible, sure, but it requires a very specific transaction of your time and effort.
Now, the absolutely crucial point here is the number the creator chose, 34. Why not 5? Why not 50 or even 100? Let's be honest, 34 is a very, very oddly precise number. But trust me, that precision is entirely intentional. Think about it. If the text simply said learn a few tricks, it'd sound vague, kind of like a scam, right? And if it said learn 1,000 tricks, it would sound like this impossible college course, and you'd just keep right on scrolling. But 34 hits the psychological sweet spot. It sounds heavily researched, highly specific, and most importantly, it feels achievable if you just sit down and focus for a bit.
This brilliantly illustrates what marketers actually call the specificity effect. Let's think of it like a mechanic offering to fix your broken-down car. If the mechanic walks out holding a single generic wrench and says, yep, I'll fix it with this, you're going to be incredibly skeptical, right? But if they roll out a highly specialized, neatly organized, custom 34-piece socket set, suddenly you trust them. You think, wow, okay, they have exactly the right, specific tool for every possible problem. The number 34 frames this content not just as some random advice, but as a comprehensive, scientific toolkit for your social life. So now we see the grand tension of this whole digital artifact. We've got this massive emotional desire on one side, total independence, the dream of never being manipulated again. And on the other side, we have the heavy intellectual requirement, having to actually sit down, read, study, and memorize over 36 specific psychological tactics. It's exactly like those late-night fitness infomercials. The desire is waking up with six-pack abs tomorrow morning. The requirement is, well, actually doing 10,000 crunches today. The creator of this post is literally betting that your desire for the former is just strong enough to make you attempt the latter.
But right here is where the entire post turns into an absolute psychological masterpiece. Think back to that original image, right down in the bottom right corner. Swipe left. That tiny, almost invisible text abruptly issues a direct, physical order to you, the user. It is literally a hidden tripwire in the tall grass. I mean, you've just spent the last 5 seconds being promised that no one will ever control you again. You're feeling empowered, you're ready to take on the world, and in that exact, precise moment of vulnerability, the creator quietly whispers a command.
This creates what we can call the magician's paradox, and honestly, it is incredibly ironic. Imagine you sit down at a table with a famous street illusionist. The magician looks at you and says, "I'm going to teach you the ultimate secret of how to never, ever be fooled or manipulated by anyone again. I will make your mind an absolute fortress." You lean in, you're super excited to learn the secret, and then, for his very first lesson, the magician holds out a deck of cards and says, "Now, pick a card." He has instantly made you play his game, right after promising to free you from all games.
Which leads us to our final, lingering thought for this explainer. You're looking at a post that promises to make you completely uncontrollable. But in order to learn how to be uncontrollable, you must first obey the creator's hidden command to swipe left, which boosts their engagement, increases their algorithmic reach, and means you are playing exactly by their rules. So, if you follow the command to swipe left to learn how to never be controlled, who is really controlling who? Next time you find yourself suddenly slamming the brakes on your scrolling highway, just take a second to read the tiny text in the corner. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and stay curious.